Greetings, greetings, greetings. You're now tuned into the vault, listening to your host, Trust Christian, Own Nothing, Control Everything. Just wanted to do a post today going over some information for entrepreneurs, people that say they have LLCs, SCorps, or SCorps. I know it's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that have these type of entities, and just really wanted to share some insight from the roundtable of entrepreneurs, the community I come from, because these are things that are essential that you're supposed to have as an entrepreneur covered. Once again, we always share at the vault. A lawyer doesn't tell you what to do as an entrepreneur. You hire a lawyer. You hire a CPA. So just wanted to really go over. Thanks, Big Smile, for tuning in live. Appreciate you from Amsterdam. I don't know what time it is from Amsterdam. That's pretty cool to have people tune in. I know it's like 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I know it's pretty late over in Amsterdam, but thank you for tuning in live. I really wanted to go over make sure your lawyer knows this. It's just really that simple, okay? Because I have a lot of people that come to the vault and I want to set up a LLC, I want to set up a SCorp, I want to set up a SCorp, and they really have no idea what is it that they're supposed to be doing. They have no idea of how to actually set their business up appropriately. The lawyer's not going down and filing for the for these SCorps and SCorps and LLCs. Okay, so let's find out what you're supposed to make sure your lawyer actually knows. Okay, because that is the issue that most people are running into, is they don't know what their lawyer is supposed to know. Thanks, D. So make sure your lawyer knows this. So I was talking to a good buddy earlier today. Consulted a while back. He has a LLC. He went to the state, set up a LLC. So we're gonna go to the IRS website, and we are going to go over what is considered, how to get your entity classified as a corporation. Because if you don't make sure that your lawyer knows this, when you go to them for tax purposes, whether it's your CPA or your lawyer, if you don't go to your lawyer to help you get this form filled out, then how is it that you're going to not get double taxed? The average individual is going to get double taxed on their SCorp, SCorp, or LLC because they're filing 1040s with their corporations. They're not filing 1120s. So the corporate tax forms are 1120s. Let's be clear about that. But most people don't know how to get their LLC classified to file an 1120. So we're going to find out how to actually do that. So we're going to always go to IRS website, because this is the accounting agency that deals with Federal Reserve notes in the United States. We're going to make sure of that. Thanks, Bomo. Appreciate you for tuning in live. We're going to go to business structures. You all need to go to business structures on the IRS website. And then we're going to go, you got your business structure. So it tells you right here, what are the forms, how to deal with these entities through the IRS website. So let's go to the LLC, because my buddy had an LLC. And I really just want, and I shared this with him. I'm like, why didn't your lawyer tell you this? Make sure your lawyer knows this, that you can get your entity classified as a corporation and not have it be considered a disregarded entity. Okay? So, classifications, IRS website, LLC. Depending on elections made by the LLC and the number of members, the IRS will treat the LLC as a corporation, partner, or as part of the LLC's owner's tax return. In parentheses and quotations, a disregarded entity. Now, there was some commas there. There was an or there. So there's a separation. So an LLC can actually be classified as a corporation, not as a disregarded entity, which means that you're filing the LLC income on your 1040. Let's continue. Specifically, a domestic LLC with at least 2 members is classified as a partnership for federal income tax purposes unless it files Form 8832 and affirmatively elects to be treated as a corporation. So you can actually have 2 people, just members. Did it say owners? No, it did not. It said members, not owners. So you and your wife, you and your friend, you and your kid, your child, can be classified as members and affirmatively have it elected to be treated as a corporation. Period. An LLC with one member is treated as a disregarded entity, as separate from its owner for income tax purposes, but as a separate entity for purposes of employment tax and certain excise tax, unless it files 8832 and affirmatively elects to be treated as a corporation. So, the LLC will be treated as a disregarded entity. That means that the entity is not going to file its own corporate tax form so you can take advantage of corporate benefits, corporate fringe benefits, so you can take advantage of Publication 15B. Publication 15B is the corporate tax form, corporate publication for fringe benefits. It's the fringe benefit one. So when you talk about clothing allowance, when you talk about food allowance, when you talk about transportation allowance, when you talk about cell phone allowance, those are things that are important. It is the employer's guide, EIN, employer, isn't it? EIN, fringe benefits. There's a de minimis benefit. There's a dependent care benefit. There's an educational assistance benefit. This is how wealthy people are living, ladies and gentlemen. All wealthy people are operating out of some type of separate, distinct legal entity. Period. They're operating out of a separate, distinct legal entity. They don't need anything to be filed on their personal tax return. That's why the President of the United States, Donald Trump, says, I don't have any personal tax returns to show. Why? Because this is an example of how people use LLCs, corporate entities, to be classified as separate, distinct legal entities and actually not be taxed personally off the money that's being made through the entity, even though they may have created the entity. It doesn't say, well, the owner or the creator is going to be taxed. It says to have the entity taxed as a corporation. Well, you also understand that if the entity passes along income to anybody, that individual is liable for a tax liability. That's the same thing with shareholders in a corporation. Who does the company pass on its tax liability to in the corporate world? Whether you all know it or not, if you own a stock in a company, that means you have ownership stake in the company. That's why you have to pay dividend tax. That's why you have to pay money on the money that you make from, you have to file it on your tax returns from the money that you receive from the shares. That means you have some type of stake in the income. The average individual doesn't know that. So I just want to share that with my friends that have LLCs, SCorps, or C-Corps. That yes, if you have an SCorp, C-Corp, or LLC, you can actually have it filed as a corporation. For all you all that have SCorps and haven't separated it as a separate, distinct legal entity as a corporation or a partnership, which the tax benefits are more beneficial to the actual entity, then that's what it is. So there's a difference between being self-employed and just founding and running or being a member of an LLC. Self-employed means you own all the income. That's it. That means you're filing a 1040. But if you want your entity, SCorp, C-Corp, or LLC, to file a corporate tax return because it's classified as a corporation, legally, not personally, that's why it's called a disregarded entity or a sole proprietorship, then you clearly understand that you wouldn't be filing. I have buddies that come to me say all the time, oh, well, I'm going to go get me an SCorp. Why are you getting an SCorp? You're still the owner. An SCorp is considered the pass-through, and it's going straight to you. You're not even filling out the 1120S. Why aren't you filling out the 1120S for the SCorp? The average individual isn't doing that. People are being double taxed. It's being taxed in the LLC, and then it's being taxed on their personal tax return. Why? Because they haven't learned how to separate their business wealth from their personal wealth. That's what you learn in trustee training. You learn how to separate your business wealth from your personal wealth. Business structures. Someone who owns an unincorporated business by himself or herself. What? A sole proprietor? However, if it's a sole member of a domestic LLC, you are not a sole proprietor if you elect to treat the LLC as a corporation. So how is it that you have a LLC but you're calling yourself a sole proprietor? How do you have a C Corp or S Corp if you are considered a sole proprietor? Because you haven't got it properly classified with the 8832. If you all would like a consultation on how to get you and your lawyer on the phone to make sure that that form is filled out, you you all can contact us at the vault at christian@trustchristian.com, or you can just go to your lawyer and say, hey, I need you to fill out form 8832 to get my entity classified correctly. It's up to you. You can do it on your own. The form is actually free. You send it into the IRS, they send you a form back. Your entity is now classified as a corporation for tax purposes. It's just that simple. So that's what I encourage you all to do. You either contact the vault, christian@trustchristian.com, or you go to your lawyer and you make sure that they know that, hey, I need to get my entity properly classified correctly. Make sure your lawyer knows this. Make sure that your CPA knows this. Make sure your business owner friends know this. And stop walking around calling yourself sole proprietorships, but you have an LLC, SCorp, or SCorp. It's embarrassing as entrepreneurs not to be up on this. If entrepreneurs spend 10% of their time focusing on keeping their wealth instead of just making their wealth, how much further along would they be? This is Entrepreneurship 101. Make sure that your lawyer knows this. Thank you all for tuning in live. Appreciate you all tuning in a replay. Share this with your friends.